créatives comme moteur économique, parce qu'aujourd'hui les industries culturelles prennent une place très importante et tous les États ont des projets de développement des industries culturelles. Les institutions internationales également aujourd'hui accordent une importance, un intérêt particulier aux industries culturelles et créatives. Qu'est-ce qui s'y fait dans nos États? Quels sont nos projets? Voici donc quelques éléments qui vont donner l'occasion aux ministres de pouvoir parler de ce qu'ils font dans les ICC. Synergie entre les États membres pour la mise en place de conventions et de partenariats culturels. Très souvent, des choses se font dans les pays. Il est important de pouvoir voir dans quelle mesure on peut capitaliser sur ce qui se fait dans un pays. Quelle synergie, quelle collaboration, quelle mutualisation peut y avoir. Et enfin, pour promouvoir une collaboration durable entre décideurs et acteurs culturels. C'est vrai, les décideurs doivent pouvoir être partout, pour le paraphraser. Et donc, l'occasion est donnée à nos ministres présents de pouvoir parler un tant soit peu de leur projet. L'occasion est donnée aux ministres de pouvoir voir qu'est-ce qui se fait chez l'autre et qui peut avoir un intérêt, ne nous permet pas.
Mesdames, Messieurs les commissaires de la CEDEAO et de l'UEMOA, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres et représentants des États membres de la CEDEAO, distingués invités, permettez-moi de vous souhaiter à tous la bienvenue et de vous réitérer l'honneur que nous avons, nous, gouvernement du Sénégal, d'accueillir ce festival très important de la CEDEAO et de l'UEMOA pour montrer ce que peut faire la culture dans la résolution des crises et conflits. Et ce séminaire ministériel consacré aux industries culturelles et créatives qui a accusé du retard et nous vous adressons nos excuses pour ce retard accusé, mais c'est dû au fait que ça devait se passer au Grand Théâtre et nous avons eu un problème avec les instruments de traduction. C'est ici que la salle permet de pouvoir favoriser les échanges parce que ici la traduction est disponible. Je pense que par courtoisie républicaine, je vais demander d'abord à nos illustres ministres ici présents de prendre d'abord la parole. Et je tiens aussi à leur dire qu'au sortir de ce séminaire, nous avons affaire pour nous conduire au vernissage qui se tiendra à la Galerie nationale. Donc je pense que ce n'est pas très loin et ça permettra au moins d'avoir une vision de ce que font nos artistes sur le plan artistique. Donc je vais laisser à Madame la ministre du Ghana d'avoir le privilège de nous présenter ce que son pays propose pour un peu améliorer et soutenir les industries culturelles créatives. Excellence.
Acknowledge my colleague ministers of state and all of you very distinguished ladies and gentlemen for this opportunity to be with you and also to be able to share with you what Ghana is doing for the creative and cultural sector. First of all, the ministry is called Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. This is a sector in which I have worked for 43 years and counting. My face doesn't look it, but
yeah.
And it found me by chance, but it has also created opportunities for me to be who I am today. So in many ways, all I have sought to do with every opportunity that I have is to give to the next generation what I wanted for myself when I was their age. So that is what drives my passion. Thankfully, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, recognizing that indeed the creative and cultural space brings a lot of contribution to the GDP of our country, realigned the Ministry of Tourism that used to be with culture and creative arts. Because in Ghana, what drives our tourism is our culture and our heritage. And the creative space lends itself to the life of culture. I'm sure that we admit that culture is our way of life. From what we wear, fashion, our food, our music, our dance, our paintings, everything in between the space. And so when he realigned that ministry, I happened to have been the first deputy of that sector from 2013 to 2016. I was a deputy minister in this same office that today I'm back in as the substantive minister. We're looking at how to improve upon the presence of creative artists and also cultural activists. I don't know what happens in other countries, but literature will prove me right, and my own experience as a creative and cultural activist will also re-emphasize the point that even at the citadel of higher education, people who study theatre and culture are not given the same recognition as those who go and do law, education, medicine, and what have you. The singular act of putting a creative artist like myself in this seat is in itself what His Excellency wants to do, to change the narrative that culture and creative arts have a space in it, and he gives it all his support. In his current administration, I think there's about, I lose count a bit, about 10 of us in culture and creative arts space who are government appointees. It is not the story of government before this administration. Now, the things that we have done to also build upon this image that he has changed for us is that we are encouraging young people to have an interest in their own space, where they come from. So we set up a competition amongst young people to identify what they find culturally unique in their various regions and bring them in a competition, and were rewarded adequately. In addition to this space that we are giving to the young people to identify themselves is the work that we are doing with the reparation of our stolen artifacts around the world. Currently, I've been working with Ecofest as a chairperson for the committee that's working on reparation. We have success stories with Benin, with Nigeria, with Senegal itself. Our own success story in the reparation has been the loaning of the Asante wealth that was kept in Britain. I call it the loaning because when the Asante and his committee worked for those things to be returned, we were reliably informed that there's a law that's been passed, not today, but for years in the UK, that prohibits the UK to return what is rightfully ours, even though they know that it's for us. Anyone, where we store them. The wealth that it has created for the countries that are keeping them for now, I think it's enough. It's about time those things are returned to us. The other engagement is to support the creative space and cultural space. And I'm very happy that it is in my time that the budget of our country, which was read only 2 weeks ago, looks at the contribution it is going to give specifically to the film industry and also the creative space. And these funds that are going to be released are meant to develop the capacity of the people in it, and also fruits really of creating employment limitlessly. It's literature that I'm sure anyone who is interested can read, but it speaks specifically to my country that many people, young people really, who are looking for job opportunities are encouraged by the occasional release of funds, and specifically this time for their development and for them to be able to earn decent living as one of
to each and every one of you, and first of all, let me take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Minister.
Tell them the translation didn't work.
Oh, the translation is not working, so can you, about the words of President Leopold Sedar Senghor, that it starts with culture and it ends with culture. So culture is what we are and will continue to be what we are until eternity. And our ministries of tourism, arts and culture in our various countries, I always tease people is that it's the Ministry of Happiness and Ministry of Enjoyment. Because we create the content to help people to enjoy themselves. From festivals, from music, from performing arts, from films, etc. So the importance that our ministries play cannot be overemphasized. In the Gambia, we have a Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, similar to what Ghana has and Senegal. And we believe that the lifeline of any one of us is the very fabric of what we are, is our culture. Without our culture, we are nothing. So, as indicated by President Leopold Senghor, it starts with it, we live with it, and we end with it. So all of us now have a responsibility as governments to make sure that we propagate and proliferate our culture. And this we do as government through having the right policies, having the right strategies, and having the right programs to support our culture and heritage. What the country has to offer in terms of culture and heritage. So that's why in the Gambia we link the two. Within our societies, culture is a way of bringing and binding all of us together. It's here between the Yayans, the Jubins, the Saren, the Chamans. These are the very fabric of what defines us as a people. And these are stabilizing factors. So, for us in the country, we have several programs. We have worked with Heritage Management Organization, which have identified and helped us develop Heritage Register, which is interactive, for us to be able to know, among other heritage sites, which the National Center for Arts and Culture, which is responsible for the operations of the policies that government develop. In terms of peace, culture brings peace. I mean, here, within our communities, if you are on top of the world, you fall down, you agree for whatever in our society there are certain cultural norms which help enable us to be able to calm you down, to stabilize you. These are things that we have, others don't have, and we have to continue to cherish it. And it is our responsibility, not only the government, but each and every one of us to try to make sure that we enhance and we develop our cultural values and sustain it for that matter. The second thing which we talked about is the creative industry. Today, the creative industry is the most important industry that can lift a lot of our youths from unemployment. Because these are natural talents that we all have. And in the Gambia, we are also developing very clear-cut policies, strategies, to see how we can engage the sector players to make them more relevant, to be able to create the employment and change their lives and livelihoods. We have a project currently ongoing, with the support of the EU, the European Union. And this project is called the Youth Empowerment Project, Tourism and Creative Industry, with focus to women and the youths. What is it trying to do? It's trying to help the youths to develop their capacities, give them the resources to be able to, develop their skills. We also have the Africa-EU Cultural Partnership Program, which West Africa, and I think is the Africa-Europe Partnership for Culture, which is the West African component, which Senegal, Gambia, and other West African countries are part of it. And this is, what is it trying to do? Is to help festival organizers, in our various countries to be able to, organize events better in terms of festival. In the Gambia also, we are trying to redefine or re-engineer how we organize and involve our communities in the festivals that define their communities. So these are some of the things that we are currently doing. And in respect of the youth, we know that almost 65% of the populations in our regions are youth. The orange economy, which is the creative industry today, is one of the most sector or industry with the highest potential to lift most of our youth out of unemployment. And this is something that we have to work.
Ok. Obrigado, Sr. Ministro de Cultura de Senegal, o nosso representante, o Sr. Diakile, obrigado de estarmos hoje aqui nesse grande festival. A nossa delegação chegou um bocadinho tarde, devido à situação do nosso país. Chegamos com nossos jovens, que vão estar presentes no festival. É uma grande hora estar aqui, interagir junto com demais ministros de África Ocidental, que vamos partilhar as diferentes culturas. Trazemos conosco a Guiné os nossos pintores, o nosso grupo de balé, que vai ser apresentado devidamente. Agradecemos essa oportunidade de poder expor a nossa cultura, a cultura guinense, que é uma rica cultura que vai interessar todo mundo. No contexto que estamos hoje, todos nós sabemos que a cultura e o desporto. Boa tarde a todos.
Obrigado, Sr. Ministro de Cultura de Senegal.
Merci au ministre de la Culture du Sénégal.
O nosso representante no CDL, o Sr. Bequité.
Le représentant de la CDL, M. Bequité.
E demais membros presentes na sala.
Et les autres membres présents dans la salle.
É uma hora estar nesse festival.
C'est un honneur pour moi d'être dans ce festival.
Devido
Notre délégation est arrivée un peu en retard au vu des problèmes que nous rencontrons en Bissau.
Mas viemos com nossos jovens que vão expor a nossa cultura no festival.
Nous sommes venus avec nos jeunes qui vont démontrer notre culture pendant le festival.
Na arte, cultura, fotografias.
Dans les arts, la culture, la photographie.
Esse festival é uma forma de expor, de encontrarmos para mostrarmos a nossa cultura e de aproximar diferentes ministros.
Ce festival est une occasion pour nous d'exposer notre culture et de rencontrer les autres ministres.
Dessa forma, vamos agradecer por Guiné-Bissau estar presente.
Donc, nous allons aussi remercier pour le fait que la Guinée-Bissau est ici présente.
Ministro, não vamos alongar muito. Vou agradecer pelo convite e ainda estamos aqui até sexta-feira. Obrigada.
Monsieur le ministre, je ne vais pas prolonger votre mesure, mais nous sommes là jusqu'à vendredi.
Sexta-feira.
Jusqu'au vendredi. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le ministre et Monsieur le député.
Encontrar mais.
Nous espérons que nous rencontrerons encore plus de personnes et que nous allons rencontrer d'autres cultures.
Merci.
Distinguished ministers and delegates, I know we do have we have tourism and culture as one of the pillars of the agenda of this government. You know, culture is a way of life. And culture is not only our identity, it's also and culture also sustains our cohesive social life. For us in Liberia, we are following the trajectory of the trends. What I mean the trends is now we have social media, of course. We try to see how the youth can monetize, because that's one of the things that in Africa, our artists, our musicians, all of the things that embeds culture, they have been transported, or let's say, they have been used without any legal framework. If you paint, if you do your artwork, someone can take it and sell it somewhere else in a museum, maybe for millions of dollars, whereas the artist is sitting in one town or one village, not even knowing that their work has been sold. So we are focusing on making sure that things are put into place that will protect the creative sector. If you have your music, before it gets on YouTube, you should be paid well. And if someone is downloading your music, you should know about it. We have also taken the culture and tourism aspect into schools. We are doing culture club in schools. Because what I noticed is most of the curriculum in school, the civic education, they have left out culture. You know, most people will think, or before then, people would think culture is for the older folks, or culture is for the village people. We want to change that. And that is the mistake we've made. You see a lot of Africans, dying across the ocean trying to go to Europe, whereas we have everything in Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization. The mistake we've made is we've not prioritized our culture, we've not loved ourselves enough. There's no reason why we should have visa among African countries. That should be scrapped out. Our culture is so unique that it embodied everything that mankind can want. We have all the mineral resources in Africa. Our culture, we should respect our culture during our forefathers' days. They never even had a court. They used to go sit under the tree and settle problems. Why are we having problems and fighting among ourselves and calling other people that don't appreciate or know our culture to come and settle this problem for us? I think we are losing because we are leaving our culture behind. When Liberia went through the 14 years of civil war, it was bitter, it was bloody. And we realized that our culture played a role, a significant role. And we Americans. But then we realized that your color means a lot. Everywhere you go, no matter how distinguished, no matter how outstanding you can be, people will try to scrutinize you so much because of your color. Why don't we then appreciate ourselves? When you're home, you see expatriates coming to your home to work. Some of them, if you analyze them, they are not smarter than you. They can do a job that you cannot do. And they can do a job that your citizen cannot do. So we have to love ourselves to the extent that we put ourselves in front of everything. We have to teach our kids this culture that our forefathers gave us, all of these minerals, gold, diamond. It was for us, it's for our kids. If we preserve our culture, we respect our culture, we cherish our culture, nobody will infiltrate Africa. Africa will be A1. Because if you try to manipulate one person, the next person will look out for that person, given the fact that we are all Africans. And when we have our associates, I will call, or our neighbors, now the world is a global village. We can travel everywhere. It's because of internet. The internet have made us all to see. At first, people used to go and say Africans live in trees. Now they realize we don't live in trees. Now they realize Africa have some of the most comfortable places to live on Earth, on planet Earth. Now they realize that the pictures that they have with kids with flies around their faces, those are all marketing. Because of the internet, they get to know that Africans are not humans with tail, that we are actually smarter or even better. Our culture, to me, is now taking the right steps. It makes me feel so proud. You go everywhere in the world, people playing African music. It makes you feel good. When you go downtown DC, you hear Nigerian music. or you hear Senegalese music, it makes you feel that they know we are here, we do exist. Before then, the youth used to be ashamed to wear African dress or maybe associate themselves with Africa. But now, this is the trend. All our kids want to showcase Africa. So we should now, this is the time for us to put ourselves together, embrace each other very well. Our leaders should put culture first. I understand there could be a lot of manipulation, but our leaders should put culture, heritage, and your citizens should come first. Pay attention to the youth. Pay attention to the youth. I was at the University of Liberia when the Minister of Education then requested a female to work with her because she said, I had all male. By the way, my undergrad was in journalism. I did radio, TV for a while. Then before I went on to study other things. So that's how I got into government. I was a press attaché for 7 years, director of communication. Then I moved to United Nations Media Development Desk. So we have to get our youth involved in everything we do. We have to focus mentoring people. If you don't mentor people, how will they know what you have in you to pass it down? This is a stage. When you are on the stage, you play a role. Then you pass, someone else will have to. Our children, how important it is to preserve Africa, then we are in a bad shape. You know, we are in a bad shape. Posterity is going to judge us. They will say, oh, your mother was here, your dad was here. You know, your dad was Minister of Tourism, your mom was Minister of Tourism or Culture. What did she do? And another thing I'm doing is I collaborate with the immigration officers because when I looked at the whole thing, immigration are culture ambassadors. They are tourism ambassadors. Why I do the training is because when you go into a country, who do you see first? You see an immigration officer. And if that immigration officer do not handle you well, you're going to have a bad taste in coming back to that country. So I collaborate with immigration in training them how you welcome a guest, you know, how you try to solicit what they're there for, you know, how can you help? And, you know, this is the first time, you know, I've brought that and been doing it, and it's going so well. Other agencies, they are now coming. Can you train our folks?
Intervention, voir par vous-même que les pays africains, contrairement, n'ont absolument pas perdu leur culture et leur volonté de réappropriation. L'uniformisation culturelle qui nous a été vendue par la mondialisation, qui nous a été presque imposée. Nous voyons ces dernières années une génération de leaders partout en Afrique qui se réclament de leur culture, qui veulent se réapproprier leur culture et qui veulent mettre la culture au centre même des perspectives économiques. Cette volonté de réappropriation culturelle passe aussi par une volonté de réappropriation de nos ressources naturelles, de notre héritage, de notre éducation. Le Sénégal s'inscrit dans ce qui vient d'être dit par l'ensemble ici des ministres et représentants des États membres. Nous avons, avec le nouveau gouvernement, voulu mettre la culture au centre des politiques publiques. Que la culture soit le secteur qui fait le lien entre les différents autres secteurs et ministères. Cela passe par une révision du narratif culturel, une sublimation de notre histoire, une volonté, je pense, ça se démontre par, c'est symbolique, mais cela renseigne aussi sur beaucoup de choses, la volonté de nos dirigeants de s'habiller sénégalais, de s'habiller africain, de manger africain et de montrer qu'à partir juste de nos céréales locales, nous avons de quoi rivaliser avec le reste du monde. Donc cette volonté de rendre fiers les Sénégalais, d'être Sénégalais mais aussi d'être africains, rendre notre jeunesse fière et pousser aussi la jeunesse à ne pas s'enfermer seulement, mais aussi aller à la conquête du monde, ne pas avoir peur. Je pense que nous sommes en train de créer un écosystème favorable aux industries culturelles et créatives, de créer une véritable chaîne de valeur dans quasiment tous les secteurs. Et l'État du Sénégal a, de façon assez opportune, je pense, mis en place des fonds, différents fonds pour soutenir la création. Et je pense que c'est la voie pour créer des leaders dans tous les autres secteurs, que ce soit l'artisanat, que ce soit la culture, que ce soit aussi le tourisme. Il nous faut des acteurs majeurs, des leaders encouragés et accompagnés, les promoteurs, les créateurs de ces industries culturelles et créatives, en quoi faisant, notamment en créant, et nous y allons ici au Sénégal, une fiscalité qui est propre à supporter et à encourager les industries culturelles et créatives, à faire le lien avec le secteur privé, que le secteur privé puisse s'impliquer davantage dans ce qui se fait, comme ça se fait dans tous les autres pays. Et nous devons accompagner dans tous les domaines, que ce soit dans l'habillement, ça a été dit, que ce soit dans les sacs que nous portons, que ce soit dans les chaussures, que l'on donne la touche africaine, qu'on labellise le Made in Sénégal comme on labellise, et que les citoyens, au niveau de chaque pays, mais aussi au niveau communautaire, que tous nos leaders sachent qu'on a des créateurs qui ont une résonance à l'international, mais que nos États, ici, au Sénégal comme ailleurs, nous peinons nous-mêmes à mettre en valeur et à sublimer. Il faut que la création soit davantage rendue visible par les leaders, que ce soit au niveau des institutions communautaires, comme ce soit au niveau de nos États. C'est tout cet écosystème qu'il faut créer parce qu'il y va de nos emplois. Il y va, si nous consommons toujours, on l'a dit tout à l'heure, tout ce que nous mangeons, tout ce que nous consommons, nous nous habillons,